Well, hello and welcome to Chewing the Fat on Intellectual Radio. That's right, Chewing the Fat. I am back. I have been gone way too long, and I am so glad that you guys have joined me today. You can catch us, of course, on Intellectual Radio, Facebook Live, Spreaker, iHeartRadio are our platforms. And I want you guys to continue to listen to our other host that's here. This is a dynamic place, Intellectual Radio. And if you're thinking about becoming a podcaster, please contact me or contact Earl here at the station of Wanda B. And they can get you right here to talk and also chew your fat, the things that you need to talk about. So, again, I have been gone way too long and I've missed you guys. And some of you have asked, when was I coming back? I am here. So I want you guys to start tapping in and telling everyone that I am back. We got to keep this going, right? We got to keep all of these great topics flowing. And we are going to, when I say we're going to chew some fat, we had so much going on, but I'm sure you guys are going to keep me busy and keep the topics rolling in, right? So I see some of you guys are joining me. Hello, Shauna. How are you, darling? How are you, beautiful? Tap in and let some of those other people know that I am here. I'm ready to jump into this thing because this is, guess what? Our 1-year anniversary of when this nation had called COVID a pandemic. We declared this a pandemic, right? It was devastating. It was frightening. We did not know what we were dealing with. It was almost like dealing with one of those shows where you watch and everyone has the hazmat suits on and we're running and taking cover like The Walking Dead. I felt that way. I felt like at any moment something traumatic or tragic was going to happen all around me. And I just did not know what to do. And I think some of you guys were in that same place, right? Hi, Shakita. How are you, darling? So I just want to know, how do you guys think 2021, are you handling this situation versus 2020 when this thing was very new to us and very mysterious and scary? When you see the scientists and the government running and tucking their tails in caves and hideaways, it was something huge and big. And we were just, I don't mean to offend anyone, but we were like the lower people on the totem pole that didn't have all of the resources to kind of get away and escape and run to these underground bunkers that we know that they have. Not a conspiracy theory, but actual truth. That they have these places that they can go when there's some type of mass war or pandemic, that they can lock themselves away with a certain amount of governmental officials and scientists and all of these teachers and all of these different people that they think that if they have to create a new world again, we'll lock these certain amount of people away and we can recreate a new world. I felt that way. So I was sitting back and thinking about all of the extremists and all of the people who set up and used to store away all of these different foods and weapons for the just in case this world go to crap. You understand what I'm saying? So were you guys prepared for this at all? I want to know, were you guys prepared? And if at any moment, if you want to call in or chime in, the number is right here behind my head and I'm going to say it. And I also placed it in the description. It's 708-223-8953. It's 708-223-8953. So I want to know, did you guys have to run out and grab all the toilet paper that you saw, all the sanitizer, all the wipes, all of the disinfectant spray? Were you one of the ones that piled your cart up and hoarded it all? Or were you one of the ones who hoarded it all and turned it into a business and price gouged? Just asking. I'm not knocking the business because there was a need for it, but also it was a necessity for us. So it was amazing just to see basic things that we took for granted become hot commodities, become things that we thought that we were going to run short of, especially toilet paper. Nobody wanted to use leaves in newspaper, right? Nobody wanted to go back old school like we were back in the woods. Um, because they knew that this was going to go down. Absolutely. There was some inclinations. There was some studies done. There was some testing, and there was some conversation about the number of people that can. Who was that? Gates and his wife. They did the study, and they had the projectile of numbers on when COVID hits, how many people will be affected, how many people may die, and all of those different things. So a lot of things came out, of course, thereafter, not during this hysteria that we all had as Americans. And there was a great hysteria around this, because why wouldn't it be when you are thrusted into the unknown of something so deadly that they didn't even have the vaccinations for? And speaking of vaccinations, we're going to get into that momentarily. But how did we handle this situation? For myself, I didn't go out and buy all of these things, because guess what? Quite naturally, I'm a person that don't like to go back and forth to the store, so I do shop in bulk. So I had a lot of toilet paper. I had well enough food, canned goods, all of those different things. So and sanitizer, disinfectants, all of those things. So my family can tell you, and friends, that we had enough. In fact, I actually was able to issue out a little bit, even though I didn't know if I was going to be able to find any more, just to know that some of the senior family members in my family didn't have any. My concern was to make sure that they had some, because I wasn't sure what they were fighting against and what they were up against. And still, now we know that it does affect seniors and those that are vulnerable to this. Uh, uh, Disease, that how it does the body and what it does in the breakdown of the body, now that we're a little bit more knowledgeable on what it does and how it affects us. So we were thrusted into this. So when I saw everything, I literally did lock myself down. I went into quarantine. And then my friends and I, we created a quarantine where, after the 3 months or so had passed, we decided to start to see one another. We got cabin fever and a little stir crazy. So by us all being in our own bubble, we decided to make a quarantine where we would see one another just at our homes, and we would sanitize and we would wear our mask. And then, gradually we began to pull those things down. My children came back home to stay with me, and the grandkids. So I had all of my kids back at home, because we didn't know what this world was what it was going to. And if we had to do some type of emergency evac or boarding up or whatever we had to do, we wanted to do it together in the safety of our own homes. If we had to bear arms, we were going to bear arms together and go back to back and do whatever we had to do to protect ourselves. So we didn't know what this world was going to look like over the next few months. And so as it began to taper off, we started to lose neighbors or co-workers, or knew someone who lost someone. So it became a little scary. Have I let my guards down now? A little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I have. But am I cautious? Extremely. Extremely cautious. I still sanitize my hands. I still carry my mask. I still wear my mask in places where I know it's public. I don't know where they've been, know what they're doing. But when I am in some of my family and friends' homes, we are a little bit more relaxed with one another, because we do know that we are being more cautious. I am back going to dinner. Parties, no. Dinner, yes. I am in that scene. I take my mask off at the table. I'm sanitizing. I still carry wipes with me. I may wipe off certain table areas in public places if I don't think, they may not do it good enough for me. I was at Pinstripes in Oak Brook, and I pulled my wipes out and wiped down the table even after the servers wiped it off. But it's just a precaution that I take, because so many people enter in and out, and they may hit a spot that I think, they may not have hit a spot that I am going to place my hands around. So I just kind of wipe over it again for my safety, or for my sanity. How about that? For my sanity. Am I OCD with it? Not at all. But I have let my gates down, and I think most of us have begin to relax a little bit more into it. You also see. I think the more we learn about it, the more we are a little bit more relaxed. The more we engage with people that we are normally seeing, and we know that are practicing precautions around this disease, I think that we become a little bit more comfortable with being with around them or with them. So that is my take on how I felt going into COVID and where I am kind of now with it. Looking at this year, at this past year, at 2020, a lot of people asked to throw the entire year in the garbage. I didn't want to. Um, Actually, I found it to be a wonderful time that families came back together and friends came back together to value one another, something that we took for granted because of work, because of school, because of our busy lives, or just because we tended to just ignore the fact that these people were not just place markers, but they were family members, valuable members in our lives. And once we got back to the basics of what family time was, we found out what we were actually missing. Um, the game nights and spending time with my family, it was so precious and valuable that I didn't know how much I missed my adult children, just having them back in the house and looking at all their different personalities and how they interacted with their children, and watching their child rearing practices and their marital lives or their engaged lives that they have now. So I had no idea how valuable it was to them. And it was beautiful just to see that interaction with us all together under one roof. And to just look back and kind of bask in to see them as adults in under one roof. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. Um, I looked at the new rescue plan, and it is at what, $1.7 billion as a rescue for government, schools, and families. Getting at $1,400 for a single person, coming out as early as next week if you have direct deposit, or by the end of the month and early of next month. And what is it, up to $5,200 for those with a family of three, or $8,200 for those that have a little bit more. One single check, one of the largest payouts ever. Of course, the Republicans are angry and not one signed off on that bill, but it's okay. It's okay that they didn't, because it was passed anyway. So, how will these Americans spend that money? I've been watching. I've been watching. I've been looking. All is traveling. All is Gucci and I've been going to Gucci and Louis Vuitton since I've been a child, and literally a child. I've never seen lines out of door. I've never seen people running out with shopping bags like it's Target. I've never seen this in my life. I've never seen this in my life. So my advice to you is to find your little way into a business. Find yourself into buying some property so that you can have some residual income for your family. Don't take that money. They want you to put the money back into the economy, but they don't mean for you to do it with stupidity. They don't want you to go out and shop your little life away. When you look up in the next 2 months, you're back to zero with nothing. This is something that can set you up for greatness. That business and that dream that you play like you always wanted, if you had the funding to do it, this is the time. That PPP loan, stop popping bottles and just going all over the world without getting your priorities straight. Pay your bills, buy a business or property, and then if you want to enjoy it a little bit, then enjoy it a little bit. Those stimulus checks, what are you doing with those stimulus checks? I'm not trying to tell you how to spend your money, but I'm trying to guide you on how to spend that money. We have lived in a place where we have been frivolous way too long. And this is historical. This may not happen again in our lifetime. We may never see this type of action and movement in our lifetime. Our children may not see it, but their children may see it. Something, because something happened every so many years, that something devastating will happen, because we are human and we always make these crazy mistakes and crazy things and airborne some things out here, to bring us to our knees. And so this was one of those diseases and pandemics that got released this way. And so now that it has, and our economy was already going to crap, the US dollar is already nothing. And so this was a very strategic way to get money moving again. And if money is going to move again, let it move for you in a beneficial way, but not a frivolous, silly way. If money is going to move again, let it move for you in a beneficial way, but not a frivolous, silly way. I want you guys to sit back and strategically plan this money that is coming into your lives. Some of you were really set back. And if you have bailed yourself out with the unemployment, with your first stimulus packages, first two stimulus packages, allow the next rescue rollouts to be something that set you up for your greatness. I'm looking at this summer, and they're saying that they want to have 300 million adult Americans vaccinated by the end of May. I don't know how many of you are pro-vaccination. Myself, I've been AWOL. They asked me to take the vaccination quite some time ago, when they first started giving it out. And because America has always built themselves on lies. Their fundamental foundation have always been built on lies and trickery. I was not one to say, sign me up, inject me, do me, because in the back of my mind, I'm just feeling like in 5 years, there's going to be some type of class action lawsuit. If you've taken the Moderna and the Pfizer shot, blah, 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 blah. I just feel that in my soul. I am not discouraging you to do this. This is just me. So I did consider the J&J. Number one, it's a one shot. Number two, it has been a staple for a long time. I'm not thinking about the talcum powder. A lot of people was talking about the powder situation that Johnson & Johnson had. Yes, they did. This is something totally different, something totally new. Johnson & Johnson is not producing the vaccination. Someone else is producing the vaccination. This is just Johnson & Johnson, whose name is on it and who's, putting the money in the backing behind it. So they want 100 million vaccinations more produced to push this number ahead for Americans to be vaccinated. So with that being said, am I leaning toward it? I'm considering it. Will I try to stay away and run still? I keep telling you guys, I am on the fence. And just pray for me. And you don't like needles. I get it. I get that. I don't have a problem with needles. I've been stuck so many times, even when they ask me at the doctor, which I tell them, I don't know, you take your pick. I don't really care where you stick me. So the needle thing is not the problem for me. Vaccinations, I've had all immunizations, have always immunized my children, and like with the regular MMRs and the, all of those different things, the vaccination, the polio, the this, that, I've done those. And so someone asked me, what's the difference between those vaccinations and this one? And I said the research, the study, and the length of time that it took them to make it and to have the test subjects to do it. This rolled out a little bit too quick for me. And I don't think they had enough testing done. And that's why it's been so many different reactions and a lot of things that are swept under medically that they won't allow to be released, that only doctor nurses have the numbers on. And so a lot of things are not being released because they don't want to discourage us from taking the vaccination. And I know that. And so by me having that firsthand knowledge, that's another reason why Dr. Harris don't want to be the first one to jump up there and say, I'm going to take it. And I do deal with a high risk population. So I am just cautious. And yes, I am more susceptible to be prone to this disease. I do have lupus. I do have sarcoidosis. So two things that can make me susceptible to it. Thus far, I have been careful enough by the grace of God that I have not been subjected to this disease and not have carried it to another person. I've been exposed by an ADT person that was in my home last year during the peak of the scary time. So he was there like in the summer and he had to come and service my monitoring system. A day later, I get a call from ADT and I missed the call. So I didn't call him back for 2 days later. I thought it was some type of, oh, thank you from blah, blah, blah. And what's your, take on the service person? So I thought it was one of those survey calls. But I listened to the message and the way that the message went was, hi, Dr. Harris, could you give me a call back? I have some very important information I need to share to you. And I need you to call me right away, right then and there. My stomach, I had a knot in my stomach. I knew. So when I called back before the lady can get it out, I said, he's tested positive for COVID, didn't he? She said, how did you know? I said, I just knew the way you left the message. I'm feeling your delivery. And so I immediately went, to Rush and got tested over in the testing center. Thank God. I was not. My 2 grandchildren, they did have COVID. And they were staying with me at that time. And before they came from school, before school shut down, they had tested positive for COVID. And so they were quarantined in a room. And so they literally, their mom took care of them. So it was a scary thing for me to be exposed twice. Well, 3 times if you say, mentioned the kid's been twice and in my home. But we blanket that thing off, plastic and sheeted the thing off like we were in a hospital, in a quarantine, literally. And we took care of that situation. And then I had the home sanitized completely down when everything was over. And it was complete around the clock sanitation. So, yeah, it was scary. And so, no, I'm not running to get the vaccination. And I told my doctors, I said, well, if everybody's getting the vaccination, I'll be inoculated, right? Because everybody else got it. That was my theory. But it doesn't really work that way. But they said the numbers are going down, the deaths are going down, and hospitalizations and cases are definitely decreasing. So with that being said, it's looking pretty optimistic for us all. And so being at this 1-year anniversary, we had a ride. We had a very, very scary ride. And with that being said, what are we to do this summer? Will we go back out as 2019, or will we be careful enough to know that there may be some residual out here left? I want us to think about that. I want us to ponder that. Because I really want us to know that there can be some residual things left over that can, have us back and set us back again. And we don't want to do that. So I just think that we need to be a little bit more cautious in how we're handling this. The mental health of this thing was quite frightening for so many people. So just speaking on the mental health aspect, the anxiety levels were in the roof. The anxiety levels went through the roof. What do we do with that? What do we do with that now? Have it decreased? Have it decreased now? I think it has, because more people are traveling. More people are out and about. It's back rush hour traffic. I mean, we could have gotten on the expressway at any time of the day. It was like tumbleweeds would roll through like the Wild Wild West, right? So as I'm looking at our city, and I know many other cities are becoming this way. It's opening back up, because we always, our thing was when the world opens back up. When the world opens back up, that's what we, would say during this crisis. When the world opened back up, and it has began to crack open the door. How will we handle this? And I suggest to you with great caution. We don't want to start going to the crowded rooms again. We don't want to be really enclosed again. If you do, I think we should still keep it at a minimum. I still think outdoor patio and rooftop and backyard events are still key to keeping this thing down. Um, it's still out here like a lion, ready to pounce. It's still out here. So I still need us to be mindful. As this beautiful sun comes out to play with us, so shall COVID. So I just want us to be a little bit mindful about this thing. Um, President Biden will be on tonight to talk about our year and our future. What shall it look like? How will we deal with getting this economy back? Mayor Lightfoot is talking about, or no, not Mayor Lightfoot, but the governor is talking about possibly allowing the auto show to come in July, which normally, remember, it normally happens when January, February, or something like that. We go to the auto show, but they're trying to do one in July. And so, but it still has to get approval from the city. And so they're just, trying to figure that out. And they are very eager. The automotive industry is very eager to do this auto show. Mind you, this is the way that they can roll out their cars. And it has been huge car sales during this pandemic. Mortgages are at a all-time low. All-time low. To one person said it's at an insulting low APR rate. But it may be low, but they're saying that the price of homes are skyrocketing. So it's like a catch-22 with it. They're keeping the APR rate, but people are bringing their houses or buildings up higher in price, but it's lower in rate to get the financing and all of those different things. So with that being said, is it a time to buy homes? Absolutely. But now go out and find the jewels that's up there for a steal. Unfortunately, a lot of people lost their homes due to this pandemic because they couldn't keep their jobs. A lot of people lost their businesses because of this pandemic. So, there are a lot of commercial properties that's out here for sale. Guys are getting these loans, these PPP, stimulus, SBA loans. If you want this business, now is the time. Now is the time. So go out and find some diamonds in the rough. Get some fixer-uppers and put the time in it and save some money and go out and fix these things up. So I am offering you guys a little advice on how to stretch this money and save some of this money. I know we have to, show, how we're spending it. You can show how you're spending it, but you better know how to spend it wisely. And you better know how to save some. You better know how to save some for the future of your business. Now, anytime off this air, if you want some advice on some of these things, call me, especially when it comes to this SBA stuff. Give me a call, and I'm going to strategically talk to you about that. And that's all I'm going to say on that note. But do things in a way that you won't regret having these different resources and didn't do the right thing during this time where you can have a gift. And when I say a gift, this is a gift of legacy where you're able to leave something to your children and your grandchildren to help yourself bail out and to save your properties already. Or to get your dream that you have been aspiring to get off. There have been more authors. There have been more businesses to open during this time. There have been more creative juices to flow during this time because those of you who've had the 9 to 5s could never work on your visions and your dreams because you were too busy punching somebody else's clock. And now you birth your dream. So while they have these things and these packages out here, this is the time to jump on it. This is the time that now that you birthed this baby, it's time to nurture it and allow it to grow. Don't get caught in the hype of the Joneses. Jones has been around here a long time. And keeping up with the Joneses, I got a secret for you. The Joneses been broke. The Joneses been broke. They live in poverty. And we've been trying to keep up with the Joneses, and the Joneses never had any money to begin with. They just looked the part. So stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Stop it. And learn to keep up and learn to move to the own beat of your drum. Create your own beat. And let that beat and that rhythm take you to a place like none other. Because we're out here, and aren't you tired of living that way? You know? And so during this pandemic anniversary, let us look back and say, I was here, but now I'm going. I'm there. I was here. I was there. I'm here. And now I'm going. That's what you want to say. You don't want to keep dredging up everything that was bad in 2020. Because, hey, I had some real ups and downs. You know, like the song goes, I had some good days, I had some bad days, but I won't complain. I won't complain. Because in those moments, I found some nuggets. And in those moments, I found some ways to create a whole new plan. And it's still not too late for you to create that plan today. Let's see what you're saying here. Now I have to put the eyes on for real. Hey, Angela. Safety precautions is always vital. Continue to keep our mask on and wash our hands. Yes, during this pandemic, God is blessing. Yes, that diamond in the rough. Yes, ma'am, Andrella. It is. You know, we just have to continue to do safe practices. Thanks for joining, Andrella. And this is Andrella from Priceless Angels Ministry. Hope I'm saying it right. If I didn't say it right, type it in there. And she has a great topic and a great show coming up on Zoom, so you guys can tap in. I'm going to put it on my Chewing the Fat, the flyer up, and I want you guys to look at that because she has some great discussions that we can also join her in. And she this is her ministry, and so has nothing to do with a podcast, nothing to do with anything. This is a ministry that she does, and she has some great conversations just to open up and heal wounds. So she's a wonderful, this is evangelist Andrella Brownlee. So anybody want any resources there, you can always tap in. Hey, Jacqueline. Hi, Cherise. Those of you guys I didn't. Hi, Eva. I didn't get to speak to. Thank you guys for joining me. You guys tapped right on in. I haven't been here in a while. I'm so glad to see you guys. And I am just talking about this summer and COVID and our year in a glance. And what can we do to make sure that we and our families stay safe, and the things that we obtain due to this virus and pandemic, what can we do to make it greater, to make it greater? Not to go back to talk about all the bad stuff, but to make this thing greater, to make us servants during this time. How many of you served during this time? Did anybody send out some things, find ways to serve our senior population, the population that is already at a disservice, our low income, our homeless? Did any of you guys do that? How about the parents that was at home struggling with those students who just don't, everyone, we always say the parents are the first educators, right? Well, education doesn't always mean the actual academia education. It can mean just the education of how we give our children common sense and the basic rules of respect and all of those different things. But everyone don't have that academia. And so it became really stressful. And that mental and stressful breakdown with the parent who also is working from home and now teaching from home has become a big hardship. So I hope you guys are checking in on your families and making sure that that thing is going okay. Earl, do you happen to have a piece to this thing? For some reason, I don't think my charger is charging. Don't want to lose them as we're going through this. Yeah, the wall outlet. Oh yeah, just that. I think that's what's going on here. This isn't giving the juice, so I'm gonna throw this out. So yeah, we there we are. Hello, hello. Thank you for your patience, guys. So yeah, so we are going to try and find a way to make sure that we keep our people connected, not feeling so much pressure from everything that's going on because it was a lot going on. We had COVID, we had children out of school, we had people out of work, we had to readjust and readapt to our life. We had mortgages and lights and gas. So, I'm glad that they put some caps and some sanctions on some of those utility services that was happening so that people can breathe. Because the one thing that you don't need is people having those concerns during this pandemic. Another thing that I wanted to discuss with you all is how will we move forward doing getting back to work. Like, are we spoiled now? I did. I'm not gonna kid you. I enjoyed telemedicine. Now, I was able to always have video visits with my patients, with my clients. And it was good, but the bulk of my patients came in to see me because it's sometimes it was more productive. But I have a couple of colleagues that have not went back into the office yet, and I have. I see about, I want to say, 5 to 6 clients in there. Hi, Kathy, I miss you. Mwah. I see about 5 or 6 clients in the office, but about 10 are still, they've gotten spoiled to our video visits. And one is because some are working from home. Some of my students are in school. And so after I visit, they just kind of roll right back into their homework because they are being swamped with homework. They have their classwork, then they got their homework, and then they're seeing me. So it has been really challenging. So I've gotten accustomed to kind of being a little free, being able to do all of my meetings. Like the meetings I would sometime, even on my way to the studio, I would be at a city council meeting or in some type of big board meeting before I can even get to the studio. And I'm running in and I'm running out. Oh, I just left downtown. Oh my goodness, I'm running late. Let me set up. But guess what? I didn't have to worry about because I left home. Well, I didn't leave home today. I did have some errands to run today, but normally I don't have to do that. I can now. I've gotten used to being a little bit more relaxed. I can, have these things set out. Now, don't get me wrong. My days can get really crazy, even home. My week this week has been mad. I cannot wait for the weekend. Honestly, I set that weekend aside. Last week was even more crazy because sometimes when you work from home, you don't know when to shut it off. I remember when I transitioned out of my daycare, when my mom was on hospice and I started working from home, I didn't stop working from home. I didn't stop working. I kept doing the lesson plan and I kept doing the meal sheet and I kept doing the this and the that and the this. And it was 9 o'clock at night. Well, I'm doing the same now. It's midnight and I'm up and I'm doing paperwork because what in my mind, I'm getting a jump start for tomorrow. But then tomorrow I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. One morning I woke up at 3 in the morning working. Now, mind you, if I had to get up and get into an office, I would have never done that because I know I would have needed adequate amount of sleep, but I didn't have to get up and dress right away. You understand what I'm saying? So how do we transition back into our normal life? Well, will it ever be normal again? Will it ever be normal? Do we have a new norm? That's a question that we have to ask. Will it ever be the norm we knew? Or will we make it a new norm? Will we make it a new norm? And it's okay if we do. No, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you. Will we make it a new norm? It's okay. See, we have to learn as we are a species to always be flexible and adjustable, to be able to adjust to these situations. The one thing about the human species, we evolve to whatever is happening around us. Whatever is happening. Did you think the caveman was going to stay a duh? Because if we did, we wouldn't be where we are today. We evolve with whatever is happening around us. Whatever is happening around us, we evolve. So right now, you guys don't even know it, but you've built up resilience. You have built up some tolerance. You have built up some patience. Your faith have grown. All of these different things, because we had to evolve to this new day and age of this pandemic and how we would deal with work, with family, with life, and even just learning how to value those things that we took for granted for so many years. I know I did. I used to say, oh my God, I'm so glad the kids are grown. Oh, I'm so glad the kids are out of the house. I'm so glad, I'm so glad, I'm so glad. But just as swift of as in the same mouth as I said that, I was so happy to see my children come back home when this pandemic hit and watch us mesh together and watch them as they were in my eyes. I don't know, when you watch movies and they you have this look at your kids and then they're back as a little kid, even though they're adult right now. But I was looking at them and they look like my four little kids, like the 10, 9, 7, and 2-year-old. You know what I mean? Or well, Miracle would have been an infant, but they're looking like that to me, and I looked at them with the eyes of a mother, and I'm like, look at my babies. But these are really grown individuals, but to me, look at my babies, so it was wonderful to see my children there and then to watch them to do those things. So adjusting, and being okay with the adjustment. Being okay with the adjustment, because we are resilient as a people. Hey, Cynthia, thank you. Mwah, thank you. Is your show still here? Are you still on the air here? Let me know. So being here at this moment, in this day and age, I'm glad I saw this. Some people would say I would never, somebody's going to look in the history book and say, oh, I don't know what I would have done if I was in this time. I'm glad I wasn't here. Just like when I look in history books and I say, I'm glad I did not experience slavery. They probably would have lynched me. I probably would have been this. I don't know unless I was in that era. I don't know unless I was in that time. Trying to see if this thing is not charging. It has to be this cord on this phone. So I don't know, or maybe it's the socket, girl. Is it? Yeah, and this cord works in my car, so I'm just trying to see. Yeah, and so maybe it's one of those things that's going on. I don't know. I just can only imagine being away from being in slavery time. So I know that someone is going to look at us and say the same thing with COVID, but I'm kind of glad that I saw this, I experienced this, and I was able to witness how we reacted as a people. And I think we did. We managed quite well as a people. Good, Cynthia, you're coming back too. Yay! Another one of our intellectual radio hosts. She said she's going to come back too. She started with me and then created her own show. And I caught it a few times. Great show. And I think Earl and Wonder would be happy to know that you're coming back. They would be happy. So we did it. You guys are here. You're watching me right now. We're all safe. We're all alive. I'm praying that none of us lost anybody due to COVID. And if you did, my condolences right here, right now. And you are here and you're strong and you're standing. And so you're able to teach and learn and know more about this thing. So when something else occurs, the things that we can drop down to our children, so they can drop down to their children. See, this is how we learn. And we're able to teach and drop down generational knowledge, not just wealth. But see, the wealth comes with the knowledge. That's what we don't know. Not just the riches, but the wealth that we get comes from what I love to sit down at the feet of elders when I was a child and get the wisdom. That was my wealth. That's something that money can't buy. The things that I've learned from my elders, from my African family and from my African American family and my Native American. My mom it's Cherokee and my grandma. So learning those things and learning the rituals and learning those things on how to, which is so funny. Everybody's into holistic medicine, the things that my family have been doing forever. It was always holistic in our families. We always knew how to wrap our arms and wrap our bandages and take different elixirs and things like that we created. Now it's a big market. Well, our parents should have been billionaires. Our grandparents should have been trillionaires because no, we were called witches and witch doctors, right? Right. But we were always there. So this is what COVID taught you, to go back to your basics, go back to what you know, go back to traditional things that families were supposed to always be: a family, a unit. If you are a unit, you move together, you breathe together, you think together, and you make things happen together. That's what it's about. And as a people, we started to move together during this COVID time. I never saw so much unity. So if anything COVID did, they woke Black people up. The alarm went off. So all the screaming and the shouting, me and all the other people who were already awakened, hey, your alarm clock went off. It let you know right then and there where you stood. Our Black and brown people, they tried to even break us down together as a people. And then you got your alarm clock wrong too, my Latin people, to let you know when it all boils down, we are all the same in some people's eyesight. They stormed that Capitol, didn't they? You think they was going to join forces with you and say you are part of this storming? No. They would have lynched you too. Because that was a lynch mob. That was a lynch mob. That's another thing that COVID did. You all complain about the mask on your face, right? Oh, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Some of y'all been wearing a mask for 30 years. You should not be breathing, period. Because you already had the mask on. So you double mask. Some of y'all triple mask. So, what are you saying when we're talking about COVID? It exposed a lot of things. So the one thing COVID did was exposed and pull the sheet from all of these people. And when I say the sheet, that can go in more than one way. That can be used as an innuendo. It was a sheet that was pulled, whether it was the KKK sheet or the sheet that some of you guys thought you were hiding, the mask over the mask. It just released it. It released it. So, where do you go from here? Where do you go from here? Plan, plan, and plan. Not just for you, but for the future of your children. So I hope this conversation about COVID in the summer and protection and precaution, you wrote some things down. I hope this make you reflect back on your year, and I hope this thrusts you forward to your future. So you know what I'm going to say to you guys from Chewing the Fat, your girl, the queen. I am going to tell you to live your life on purpose, live your life with purpose, for without it, what is your intent? Thank you for joining me today, and tell everybody I am back. I am back. I am back. See you next Thursday at 3 p.m. Mwah.
Let's get it. Happy with the session.